Dominic Cummings gives evidence at the joint hearing of the Commons Health and Science and Technology Committees. There's no question that this will have been a tough day for the Prime Minister Boris Johnson. His former chief advisor, Dominic Cummings, has given a devastating account at the Joint Commons Committee. A short account of how Cummings rose to power. Dominic Mackenzie Cummings was born on the 25th of November 1971 and worked as a political strategist and also served as chief advisor to Boris Johnson from 24th of July 2019 until November 13th, 2020. From 2015 to 2016, Cummings served as director for Vote Leave, an organisation which successfully executed the 2016 referendum campaign for Britain's exit from the European Union. After Johnson was appointed Prime Minister in July 2019, Cummings was appointed as Chief Advisor to the Prime Minister. Cummings was responsible for the then Chancellor Sajid Javid resigning in February 2020 after Sajid refused to comply with Cummings' request to dismiss his special advisors. In May 2020, several leaders of opposition parties called for Cummings to resign after he had travelled to his parents' farm in Durham during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. After Cummings gave his reasons for breaking lockdown in a press conference, the Prime Minister supported his chief advisor by saying Cummings had acted responsibly, legally and with integrity. Durham police said that they did not consider an offence was committed when Cummings travelled from London to Durham and that a minor breach might have occurred in travelling from there to Bernard Castle. Cummings explained that he had travelled to the castle to check his eyesight. So the 13th of November 2020 is where it all ended for Cummings, or so most people thought. It has been widely speculated that Cummings had a negative relationship with the Prime Minister's girlfriend, Carrie Symonds, with further allegations that Carrie was involved with decision-making in the higher echelons of government, that a rift or division of power had resulted at least in part to Cummings' sacking. That's perhaps the focus of another video. But who can forget the image of Cummings famously leaving number 10 with his box of stationery, like something out of an American sitcom? So here we are, 26th of May 2021, and Cummings bears all. This is huge, and Cummings' testimony, yeah, I'm calling it that, has lasted for some hours. So I'm going to address some of the more damaging allegations, giving you my thoughts and opinions. But I have to say, whenever somebody blabs like this, or sets out to damage another person or institution, you have to wonder what their motives are. Firstly, Cummings said that in retrospect the country should have gone into lockdown in March 2020, but retrospective accounts count for crap. In retrospect, we should have had more PPE, more nurses, doctors, ventilators, etc, etc, etc. Yes, we can all learn from this, but come on now, Cummings. A more serious accusation is that Matt Hancock lied in numerous government meetings and that he should have been fired 15 to 20 times for various missteps and incompetence, my italics. There is no question that mistakes have been made, and some of those mistakes did seem obvious at the time, even to me. For example, the care home fiasco, and the more recent blunders regarding the Indian variant, which resulted in the UK government allowing travellers into the UK after neighbouring countries to India, such as Pakistan, were red-listed. This may or may not be due to a potential UK-Indian trade deal. Let's hope the independent inquiry, sanctioned by the Prime Minister, gets to the bottom of it. But in any event, I will give Cummings that one. There are some questions which we do need to have answered. But that said, who on earth would want Matt Hancock's job? Would you? I sure as hell wouldn't. It's not easy working in healthcare, at the best of times, let alone in pandemics, and I'm sure Mr. Hancock didn't go into work to see how many people he could let down. It has already been suggested that perhaps corporate manslaughter charges should be brought. This is a very serious accusation, which will surely erode public confidence. One of the more outlandish comments was that it was crackers that he and Boris Johnson should be placed into such positions of power. And further, that such a political system, such as ours, which would see either Johnson or Jeremy Corbyn come to power, was terribly wrong. Cummings admitted that he is not a particularly intelligent man and that more junior members of the team showed more initiative and talent, lines led by donkeys. Incredible. If Cummings did not feel competent to take the job, then he shouldn't have. Yes, he worked primarily as a Brexit-supporting senior member of the team. And who the hell would have even dreamed that he would be helping to manage a pandemic a few weeks after the 2019 general election? But if Cummings felt that he was not bright enough to contribute, then he should have resigned. Look, I personally have dyslexia. I trained to be an adult general nurse, and whilst training I was offered additional time in exams, time to work out maths problems, etc. I turned down the offers of help because in an emergency situation I'm not going to be given more time. The patient sure as hell won't have more time. I understood back then that if I couldn't do the job, then I had no right to work in that job. People's lives are on the line. It appears that Cummings did not have the same sensibilities. Speculation. Yes, some speculation from the former chief advisor. Cummings said that if Johnson had attended a particular Cobra meeting, it would have made no difference because Johnson would have told everybody not to worry. So, are we to take from this that prominent members of the cabinet would not have their own stats and figures, but they would not have clutches of their own reports, but these cabinet members wouldn't have their own networking circles and have some idea of the gravity of this pandemic for themselves? I find this very unlikely. Cummings further said that in January, they pointed to a TV screen showing images of Italy in early 2020, this is the same year obviously, to show the PM a lockdown was needed. Policy by TV. Well, perhaps reporters are often the first ones on the ground, but Cummings, surely he would have had a telephone conversation with his opposite number in Italy, I don't know, some form of extra governmental activity. It seems to me that Cummings is determined to sink the ship and go down with it. So, Cummings is at odds with the government as to whether herd immunity was government policy. Cummings said it was a centrepiece of policy. The government say no. But let's be honest. Prominent scientists were talking about herd immunity at the start of the pandemic, as did Matt Hancock. So herd immunity must have figured in government decision-making. It seems plain daft that somehow it wouldn't. So perhaps a half point to the government and to Cummings on that one. And finally, Cummings said that effectively the entire system failed the public. Piss poor planning, my words there. He said he bitterly regrets not hitting the panic button earlier. Wow, as though he solely had such power. And if he hit the panic button, given that Cummings said that there was no proper systems in place, then what would have happened? If he'd hit the panic button, say like firing a missile with no missile in the silo or something of that nature. Pointless, a completely pointless thing for him to say. So in the final analysis, what has all this achieved? Like I said at the beginning, what are the motives of Mr. Cummings? We can speculate, like the man himself speculates, but the truth will surely out itself in time. What I can say is that he has surely undermined the public confidence at a very sensitive, crucial time in this pandemic. This must surely erode public trust in the government and its health institutions. It will make future implementation of health legislation in relation to the pandemic that much harder. If Cummings is as sorry as he said he is, then why create yet more division and fear at this crucial time? What does he think can come out of this? I suppose the point I'm making is that perhaps he should have waited at least until the pandemic was over before throwing his toys out of this particular pram. As it stands, this looks like a selfish attack on the Prime Minister and the government as a whole. It looks and smells like revenge, and yes, I know I'm speculating, but I'm not potentially influencing the emotions, thoughts and actions of hundreds of thousands of people in the UK, so perhaps we all have a right to speculate on this one. Cummings has stabbed Boris in the front and the back, but a wise man once said that if you pluck out a coal from the fire and throw it at your enemy in anger, the only person who gets burnt is you. All right, that's it. Thanks for your time. Good luck out there. The Conservative one, signing off.